more technical information for you is that, as you can see, you're automatically now muted, but it's a very interactive webinar. So we really are here to answer your questions. And after the presentations, we will have time for Q&A. So where you can ask your questions, and of course, also meanwhile, you can type your questions in the chat. So yeah, let's keep it just really as interactive as possible. So maybe introducing myself, although looking at the list of participants, most of you know me, but it's Esther Magyarosi. I'm head of the Innovative Finance team at the ICLEI World Secretariat. And in this capacity, also managing the Transformative Actions Program, the so-called TAP. And we organized this webinar, some of you already know, each time before we announce a new TAP call. So this serves to explain a bit the TAP, to give a quick overview for those who are new to the TAP. But also we would like to explain the application process and to give you some tips and tricks based on our experience, how a good and solid TAP application form should look like. So maybe we can start with the presentation, Ceci. Yeah, so as I said, this webinar will have 4 main parts. So first, introducing the TAP to you, then going through the application form. This time, very first time this year, the application form will be an online application form. So far, some of you already know we used either Word or Excel format. So this year it will be online, and my colleague Alessia will tell you more about the details, how it works. And then Ceci will give you some insights on how to build strong applications. And after that, we will still have time for sure, because we try to keep these presentations short for questions, as I said. So moving to the next slide, just to introduce you the TAP. So the TAP is the abbreviation of the Transformative Actions Program. It started in 2015, and since then we have annual calls. The next one will open in 2 weeks on the 13th of May. And that's why now we are organizing this webinar. So what is the goal of the TAP? So obviously we would like to support local and regional governments with their net zero emission and climate resilient development. We also work closely together with the national governments and financial institutions. With the national governments, meaning mostly looking at the NDCs and the national adaptation plans, to ensure that everything is aligned. And then regarding the activities, what we do here, so TAP many consider as a project pipeline. It is a subnational demand-driven pipeline. I think this is very important to mention. And maybe this is also something that differentiates TAP a bit from other project preparation facilities. We also consider TAP as a project preparation facility because we help our applicants with their project development with the goal to reach the level of maturity and access finance. And we also use TAP as an advocacy instrument presenting the demand and the diversity of subnational projects seeking finance. Here at the bottom, you can also see our website, thetappotential.org. And of course, yeah, I invite you to visit the website, because what I'm giving you today, it's more just a snapshot, but there you can find all useful information. So who is eligible for TAP? Who can submit a TAP application? So first of all, obviously, local and regional governments are all invited globally to submit their application, but also their partners. So here we accept applications also from NGOs, from CSOs, even from private companies. So it's not limited, but if the project submitter is not the local or the regional government, in those cases, we really need a proof that still the local or the regional government is completely aware of this application, that they are on board, and this application is aligned with their goals and plans. This can be a support letter or any kind of proof. Another very important criteria is that we work with infrastructure projects. And these projects, they have to address climate change and SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. As you can guess from the name, Transformative Actions Program, our focus is on the transformative impact potential of the project. And this we check, we screen along 3 main dimensions. The projects are transformative if they are ambitious, inclusive, and cross-cutting. Here, we have a very detailed screening sheet what we use, but just to give you an idea, on ambitious, we mean that the project has a solid climate ambition, that the project is aligned with national plans and goals, the project is aligned with the Paris Agreement, with the SDGs. On inclusive, among others, we mean that the project considers gender, youth, vulnerability groups, that there was a meaningful stakeholder consultation. And the cross-cutting basically means that the project has a holistic multi-sectoral approach. Where we have no criteria is the subnational territory and the level of maturity. So we work globally. We invite applications from all over the world, equally the global north and the global south. And also regarding the level of the maturity, we have no specific criteria. Also, if you look at our recent project pipeline, there are projects which are at the very early stage of project preparation, and there are also projects which are very mature, basically ready to be implemented. The next slide, please. Yeah. Illustrating the TAP and our work also with some numbers. So as I said, TAP is also a project pipeline, and at the moment we have 73 projects in our pipeline. Because of the calls and because of projects that manage to access finance, this number is changing. So it's a growing pipeline, but projects that already managed to access finance, they are out of the pipeline. So these are the so-called tapped projects. And here you can also see that since 2015, we know at least about 27 projects that were so-called tapped, meaning that they managed either to enter the phase of implementation or they managed to access any type of technical assistance or financial assistance for their project. These 73 projects, they represent a 2.6 billion euro investment potential. And at the moment, the projects come from 31 different countries. As you can see, although the TAP is open globally, we have a very strong global south focused pipeline at the moment. Half of the projects are coming from Africa, and is followed by Latin America and the Caribbean, and then Asia. As you can see, we also have some projects from North America and Europe, but at the moment they are very marginal. The next slide, please. This slide illustrates you the process, what happens with the TAP application. So obviously it starts with the project mobilization. So it starts with the announcement of the call, which I said will happen in 2 weeks' time. And after we receive the TAP applications, we evaluate, we screen them. So what we check? We check the eligibility criteria as I just listed them previously. We also check the completeness of the application form. We check the transformative impact of the project and also the financial feasibility. Here we differentiate projects which are early stage and also projects which are mature, meaning that for the mature projects, we would expect that also they are financially feasible and that it was already assessed that they have a solid business model already available. So this is then part of our scoring, which I will explain soon. And for the early stage projects, we also check the financial feasibility, but it's more an information for us that we understand better the project needs and how we can support the project. So when we start this screening, this is a kind of start of a collaboration, a discussion with the applicants. So we send clarification questions, they answer. So This is a longer process and really depends a lot on the engagement of the TAP applicant, how long and how deep it goes. But after that, we come up with a final score, obviously. And our criteria is that if the score is above 80%, then the project is approved to our pipeline. If not, then we encourage the project to revisit its application and resubmit it at a later stage. So the projects which are approved to our pipeline, they get a symbolic seal, we call it TAP seal of approval, and then they become a part of our pipeline. Projects access services. So based on the score, based on if they are approved to the pipeline or if they are not, they can access different services. What we offer for all is capacity building and technical assistance. So we organize a lot of webinars and workshops and peer exchange and knowledge exchange events. So those events are open to all. And we also develop demand-driven tools. So usually the toolkits, the guidelines, what we develop, we always did based on the demand of our applicants. And these are also available for free on our website. Where we differentiate a bit the services, it's regarding the marketplaces and the project pitching, which we also organize regularly. And this we only offer for our pipeline projects. So here we have them with preparation with the pitch and connecting them with a potential either technical partner or financial partner. The next slide, please. We don't do this alone. We have at the moment 16 TAP partners. You can see them listed here. As you can see, it's also a very diverse partnership, having technical partners, having UN agencies, having financial institutions. With each and every partner, we have a bilateral agreement. And based on that agreement, we just shape our collaboration and see how to support our pipeline projects the best. The next slide, please. So finally arriving, I think the most exciting part, how to apply for TAP. If you go to the TAP website, when the call is open, then you will find a page, apply. So here you can click and then access the online application form. Alessia will explain more about it. And of course, if you have issues to access or any kind of questions that you might have regarding the application, then here you can see our email address, the tap@iclei.org, where you can always reach out to us. And with this, I would like to thank your attention and hand it over to Alessia, who will explain you more in detail the online application process.
Thank you, Esther, for the introduction. Let me share my screen. All right. So yes, as Esther already mentioned, once the TAP online form will be available, you will be able to go through the website, and then once you click on apply now, you will be redirected to this page, and you see there are two possibilities. So if it's the first time that you try to apply, you will be able to create a user for yourself. And for example, I can create, you have to insert your email address and then your password and confirm a password that you choose, and then you can submit. So you see, the good thing about having an online application is that if you're doing something wrong, you get an immediate feedback on what is wrong and you can adjust. So in this case, I chose a bad password. All right, so let's try again. Great, so you see here on top, it says new account created for this email. So you can continue and fill out the form. This is the English version. However, we will also provide the French, the Spanish, and the Portuguese version as it was before. I will only show this, but the other forms will be available as well. And you will have all of these different fields to fill. Some of you may already know this, but the form is quite long. So you can decide to start filling it some information, test on, and then your name. But if you don't manage to finish everything, or if you want to start doing it and then you see that you don't have some information and you want to come back to it later, you can save your progress on the bottom of the page. And you will see on top your information was saved. And I will switch now here. So I had created another user to show you how it works. So if here, so if instead of creating a new user, suppose you have already created a user and you just want to go back to the work that you have already saved, you can so you can go here and then log in, and you will see. So in this case, I had created 2 forms, and you see one has already been submitted. It's indicated through this flag here. The other one is still not finished, so I can go there and edit, and I can review all the information. And something that I wanted to point out is you will see some fields, like most of the fields, will have this red asterisk here, and it means that the information is mandatory. And then there are some questions that will appear or not appear according to the answer that you give. So for example, here, do you know when the project is expected to start operating? If you click on yes, then you will be required to specify year and quarter. But if you click no, you will see, all right, do you want to give some details? And then you can write down the details regarding why you don't know this date. And this holds also for other questions later on. There are also, maybe this is to mention, so there are also explanations for the questions. So these provide you guidelines on how to answer, and there are also some links you can click on, and it will direct you. Now I don't know. Yeah, it will direct you onto the guidelines. Now I have to go back here. Sorry. Yes, and then once you're finished, you can, at the end, well, you can see on top, you will see how far of the application, how much you've completed. And next. This is also something I wanted to mention. So for some fields, for example, this should be a number. So if instead you write, for example, 5 million, because you think that's accepted and you will try to go on, you click in next, you will see sometimes there is a red box on top, and it also explains what kind of error you made. So review the firm, and then here invalid number. So you know you're expected to put in a number and you can change it back. And this also happens if you don't answer a mandatory question. So for example, here, this is mandatory because you see the asterisks. So if you don't write anything and you try to do next, review the form, and then you go down and see how this is highlighted in red and you're required to put something in. So you can do it. And then after you're finished, you can click on submit, and you will be directed to this page where you get thank you. So you have successfully completed a form site, but you're also able to, let me check if I can. So yeah, so after you submitted, you are still able to go back to your work and see what you have submitted. And if Esther or someone of her team tell you that you have to review some of your answers because you have to add some more details or something like that, you can still do that. second. So now you see I have 2 applications submitted, but yeah, I can potentially go back in and change whatever I have to change and then submit again. Well, do the same thing and resubmit. All right. Yes, so that's it from my side. And yes, if you have questions on this part, you're welcome to ask later on. And now I leave the floor to Ceci.
Thank you very much, Alicia, for this explanation. So now I'm going to share my screen to the presentation. So my name is Cecilia Rivera. I'm the junior officer of the Innovative Finance team, and today I'm going to give you some key elements and recommendations for a good application to TOP. So first, regarding the general aspects of the project, we expect applicants to define the project's objectives and goals in a way that they are very clear and consistent to a timeline and budget. And for the climate and socioeconomic impacts, it's very important that applicants try to quantify them as much as possible, or at least to enlist them in case the project is in the very beginning of its preparation. In terms of scalability and replicability, it's important to mention if the project have the potential to be replicated in other places or in the municipality itself, and also if the budget of the project concept can be packed together or can also be included into other relevant or related projects. So in order to scale up its size and also its impacts. And finally, for the project aspects, we also ask for an explanation on how gender equality and women empowerment will be enhanced, and also how vulnerable groups will be included into the project. Regarding the enabling framework, it's also very important that the project is very well supported by the local and the national government. And also if there is any municipal council decision approving the project, or if there is any letter, supporting letter issued by the local or the national government. Also, it's important for applicants to prove a meaningful stakeholder consultation, and also to prove that the project is embedded in any national strategy. And finally, for the local government profile, as Esther already mentioned, the application can be submitted by the local government, but in the case that any other entity or partner wants to apply on its behalf, it's important that the application must include a supporting letter. And we also look for the ability of the local government to assess international finance and also its capacity to pay back debt. And for other elements related to low risk investment, stability of institutions involved in the project, and also the potential continuity of the project. It means that the project can be stay as a priority despite the administrative changes or other kind of risk happening in the administration of the local and the national government. So today I also want to share with you 4 specific recommendations to build up a very strong application. First, be concise, but provide detailed information. All answers must get to the point, but also highlight, the information must highlight the important elements of the project. Secondly, create a narrative to clearly explain what the issue or the problem is and how the project is expected to address these problems or these issues. Use numbers to show impacts. Remember, data speaks louder than words. And finally, explore the top materials that are available in our top website that we previously put in the slides, and later I can put also the website in the chat box. We have different knowledge products, and these products can give you a very detailed information that might be very useful while filling out the application form. But specifically, I encourage you to check the top technical guide that we published last year, which you can find a demo project which is basically a fictitious project, and there you can see a sample of the answers and explanations that we expect the applicants to put in their own application form. So for my side, that's all. I thank you very much for your attention. And now I want to open the floor to questions that you may have. And remember that you can either type your questions in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and ask directly us your questions. Thank you very much again. Nicola, please go ahead.
Oh, thank you, Cecilia. Hi, Hester. Hi, everyone. Thank you for the nice presentation. Maybe just a couple of questions from my side regarding the process. Just very briefly, how long does it take for you to screen the project? How long is the screening process? I mean, if there is any specific sort of technical support that you give to adaptation projects rather than mitigation projects. Thank you.
Maybe I can start to answer, and then Ceci, if I forget something or you would like to complement, then just feel free to do that. So many thanks for the question, Nicola. Regarding how long the screening process takes, it really depends on the it really depends also on the application and the applicant itself. So of course, the higher quality the application is, the faster it goes. So obviously depends on how many clarification questions we have to ask, if we have to ask for the supporting documents, or if they are already attached to the application. But usually at the ICLEI World Secretariat, it's approximately 1 month to do the first level of screening. And then it really depends how many questions we still have to clarify with the applicant, and how fast then the applicant is with answering. So in a very fast process, then it can take just 1 or 2 months to get a final score. But in some cases, it takes really like half year or something similar. Regarding your question on adaptation, yes, we very much encourage our applicants also to submit adaptation-focused projects. So we support, the TAP supports both adaptation and mitigation. Of course, as I think we all know, it's much easier to pitch and access finance for the mitigation projects than for the adaptation projects, but we equally would like to serve them. I hope it answers the question. I don't know, Ceci, if you would like to add anything to that.
Maybe just to complement, there are some projects that have both focus, mitigation and adaptation. And in the application form, they can describe how they include both. So there's no problem if there's only mitigation or adaptation, and also they can also even have both focus.
Thank you.
Anna Jael, please.
Hello, thank you for sharing the presentation. My question is, can we use the TAP technical guide again as a reference to fill out the application this year?
Yes.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, go ahead, Ceci.
I can answer the question. Yeah, the TAP guide that we published last year is basically a very good reference for this year, because for this year, despite the application form is online, the questions are the same, and also we keep some links and extra information to guide the applicants to fill out the application form. So again, we encourage you to use the TAP guide again to fill out this year the application form as well. Thank you, Anna Jael, for your question.
Thank you.
Yeah, and maybe this time I to complement. So also, as Ceci mentioned already during her presentation, and also Alessia pointed it out. So in the TAP application form, below the questions, you also find some guiding principles, some guiding ideas, and also with references to different sources in some cases that already helps the applicants to answer the question the way it should be answered. And maybe just one more thing I wanted to highlight. Alessia also said that the form is long, and indeed it is long. And it's not because we like long forms and we like reading a lot. It's really based on our experience when talking to the different partners and financial institutions. So these questions are asked. So if a project is really serious and would like to access finance, these projects will be asked, if not by us, but then by that financial partner. So for those that already know the form, they know already because it's the same, basically the same as we had. So the first part of the application form is a so-called harmonized application form, which was developed together with partners in the CCFLA, in the Cities Climate Finance Leadership Alliance, with the goal that several organizations using the same application questions, then the project can easily access also to other opportunities, not only to the TAP. And then in the second part of the application form, we have the TAP relevant, TAP specific questions.
Also very important regarding the TAP guide is that it is available in Spanish, English, Portuguese, and French.
Any more questions, or we were, I don't know, Anna, if it's your old hand or if you have another question to ask.
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for your answers. So,
yeah, actually, you know, the email address, what we showed, in case you have difficulties with the online application form, it's not only for the online application form. So this email address, you know, you can always reach out to us. So it's basically us, you can see now behind that email account. So if you have any questions regarding your application, feel free to write there, and we always answer those emails. So you can find us there.
Maybe we can also mention that if someone wants to type any question in Spanish, please feel free to do it. Si alguien quiere preguntar algo en español, también pueden hacerlo y nosotros traducimos la respuesta.
If there's no more question, it's also fine. I hope we really provided you all the information that is needed and useful for a TAP application, either if you are a TAP applicant or either if you are one supporting a TAP application. So yeah, I see that meanwhile in the chat there was a question, and yeah, and this is something actually we didn't mention, that I said that the call will open on the 13th of May, which is very important. But this year, those who already were with TAP, they know that usually we had a quite limited window for application regarding the timeline. But then based on experience, Navi decided that we will keep the whole application open throughout the whole year. So we will open it in 2 weeks, but then we hope that you will have sufficient time until actually the end of December to submit your application.
Voy a traducir la respuesta en caso de que sea necesario. La fecha para que se va a abrir la convocatoria de TAP va a ser en 2 semanas, en mayo, y va a estar abierta hasta mediados de diciembre. Dentro de ese tiempo pueden ustedes aplicar. En el caso de la pregunta sobre el límite de reenvío de solicitudes, no hay, como lo mencionábamos en la aplicación, en la presentación. Puede ser que ustedes tengan que mandarnos información adicional o complementar alguna respuesta y pueden hacer el reenvío de su solicitud las veces que sea necesario.
Maybe Ceci, if you can also do it in English.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, and as we mentioned in the presentation, sometimes we're going to ask you for complementary information or to complement some of your answers. So there's no limit to resubmit your application form. It's just the time that it's necessary to get the score, and also, yeah, there's no limit. And there's another question. What can supporting organizations, NGOs, city networks do to support TAP? For example, if there is any information package they can use. Esther, do you want to answer that question?
Yeah, I see many ways to support the TAP. So also, as I mentioned, with our TAP partners, we always have a bilateral agreement how this support can work. So of course you can they can help us increasing our visibility, but we are very much open, you know, to organize workshops, dedicated workshops, very practical ones, serving really our applicants and the project development together. So we are very open to that. We are very open to develop knowledge products or toolkits together. So this is something, it's actually a typical collaboration area. And with other city networks, for example, C40, they also have a project preparation facility, the CFF. So here, for example, we use the same application form, the first part, the CCFLA part. So it's very much aligned. And then, for example, projects that are not selected by them, but still can be considered to TAP, then they can just be screened also by us, and if eligible, then can become part of our pipeline. Also, just to give you an example of workshops and webinars, so with our partner, the Lincoln Institute, we are also planning to organize a webinar in June. And this is also, we plan to be as interactive as possible, with focusing on land value capturing and land use. So these are actually, I think, the typical collaboration areas, but what we can do together. And obviously joint fundraising, because maybe this is also something important to mention. Sometimes there is misunderstanding around this. So I think it's important to clarify that the TAP itself, we don't have grants, we don't have our funds on our own. So what we commit to is that we seek these opportunities for our projects. So based on the project's needs, the size, the level of maturity, so on, then what we commit to is to try the matching technical or financial partner for that project. But we ourselves, unfortunately, we don't have funds on our own. Thanks for the question, Nicola. I think we addressed all the questions, or did I miss something in the chat, Ceci?
No, there are all the questions received so far.
Okay. Yeah, so as I said, yeah, feel free to write us at any time. We are happy to assist you, to answer your questions. And if you are a TAP applicant, we are of course also happy to support you with your TAP application. So we are there for you. Okay, if there is no more question, the webinar was recorded. We will share the link. So you can also share that with your colleagues or partners, whoever you find it's relevant. And with this, yeah, I just then I don't know, Pedro, do you have a question as you are unmuted? Okay, I'm not sure. So with that, I really would then like to thank your participation today, and also many thanks for your questions and interest. And yeah, hopefully we will stay in touch and we will receive great applications. So thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.